Hello there, lads and ladies. How are we doing on this fine Sunday evening? It's Sunday, which means one thing. We are here to review everything Sky Bet League One related. This week there was 12 games, 18 goals galore in some. Others, we had nil-nils. We have 3 of them to be precise. We had action at the top and at the bottom. We had top of the table deciders already after 9 games, or 10 for some, in this Sky Bet League One season. Fleetwood picked up their first 3 points of the season, as did a couple of other teams get some good results. On the road as well, there was 5 away wins out of the 12 games as well. A big week in Sky Bet League One, but we're not alone today. We're going to get our co-host in now, Jake from Channel 72. Jake, how we doing, mate? Welcome to the show, mate. Unmute yourself, mate.
Hello. Yeah, sorry, I'm a little bit. I was a little bit flustered there. No, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Good week, good weekend, good win for you and for me. We had a 12-point weekend on T-Lot, which was good. But yes, mate, looking forward to going through it all for the second time today. No doubt it's going to be even better than what we did earlier.
Absolutely. We've got rid of the imbeciles. It's just the legends now. Hello, Josh. Hello, Jack. Play up Pompey. The Fleetwood are back. Get in there. Up the Cobblers. Evening, chaps. Evening, Matt. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining the stream. Evening, up the Cods. Play up Pompey. Do you think you'll stay up this season? We'll come to that later on in the show. The tennis ball on to yesterday was the most entertaining thing in our game at Reading. We'll also come to that as well. Jake, before we get on with the show, mate, how was your weekend? Decent?
Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. I didn't get to the game yesterday, but no, it was good. Lincoln winning obviously makes your weekend a little bit better, doesn't it? But yeah, no, it was all good, mate. Was yours all right? I assume T-Lock was the
Nothing really happened. Nothing really happened, to be fair. It was a pretty standard weekend. The result, I don't know. How did Fleetwood do? I don't seem to have ever mentioned it, but Fleetwood won a game. Fleetwood won a game of football, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, should we get on with it? Should we get into the game?
Go on, then.
We're going to start off with Barnsley, Jake. Barnsley got a great result again, last week, but this week, not so great result. They won the previous 3 games. They're playing Blackpool, who got a really good result last week. They won by 4-1 against Reading. And Blackpool have needed a run for a couple of weeks now. They've been edging closer in games, been unlucky, but this was a real away performance at a good side and showed a little bit of mettle in them. Dougal, Norburn and Jensen Weir, their midfield 3, all got booked. 2 of their back 3 defenders, Husband and Connolly, got booked. Dan Grimshaw, the goalkeeper, got booked. So it was a pretty eventful game in terms of bookings and cards. Jordan Rhodes scored his 5th goal since coming into the football club. 5-4 or 5-5 since arriving there. Barnsley, though, have now lost 4 out of 6 at home, which is a big worry in my opinion, because if you think about it, they beat Port Vale on the opening day of the season. We've lasted 4 minutes until we mentioned the 7-0 drumming this week. It's a new record, but they've lost 4 of the last 5 games since, and it's a good side, but it just seems to be one week be really good, the next bit not so good.
Yeah. I'll touch on Blackpool. I remember saying, Ben, when we played Blackpool and Jordan Rhodes came on, I said it was very useful to you. I seem to remember. Played really well that day. And to be honest, he's not really looked back since. Really good centre forward. Took his goal well yesterday. The penalty, wasn't it? Definitely a penalty, by the way. I don't think there's any arguments with that. But like you said, Ben, on T-Lop earlier, Blackpool are just starting to get into a rhythm. They're starting to click a little bit. And once they click, we've seen under Neil Critchley before how they can just go and fly and soar into the top 6 as they did a couple of years ago. As for Barnsley, getting a little bit worried now because obviously we spoke to Tom after they had beaten them 3-2, and he wasn't too impressed with Barnsley. And then you look at them yesterday and you just think they're just a little bit flat. 1 week under Collins are amazing, and the next. They're going to be up in the top 6, and the next minute they're miles off it. So I think once they start to even out a little bit, we're going to figure out more about this Barnsley side. But they still had opportunities yesterday to snatch a point. Devante Cole had a couple. I think Cotter had one as well. So definitely interesting to see how they get on. But good result for Blackpool. That really big result.
Barnsley have played 4 of the current top 6. Barnsley are 7th in the league. Look, I know they've played, 10 games, and they've already played 4 of the top 6. They've only beat Port Vale. That was on the opening day of the season. Defeats in there, to, Oxford United, Portsmouth in there as well. Peterborough, who were around them in the table as well. Lost 2 as well. So it is a bit of a worry for me in that terms of thing. We're going to go to Derby now, but if you're just joining the stream, please get liking. It does help the channel out massively as well. Derby County had frustration yesterday. Another 0-0. It's 2 clean sheets and 2. Only 6 shots on target in their last 4 games. Look, I know they've been scoring goals in their last few games. Away at Carlisle was a good result. How long until we keep saying, well, they're digging out results, but then the next week they're not digging out results? And it kind of leads me to this Mourinho, Conte, that type of football where if they're going to come in to win games of football and get Derby out of the league, they need to get results, don't they? And they're not flattering anyone. They're not playing good football, and they're not really shining. 5 points in 3 games is flat. There are only 3 points off 4th. Bear that in mind. And we've got 2 games this week. But we've been here before with Derby where we thought, right, 3 games in a week. Here's the time to shine. Go and take 7 points. And, if they go and get, 2 wins in this next 2 games, it looks totally different. But at this moment in time, you don't think Derby are going to go on a run. They've got a lot of injuries out. Your Horahans, those types of players. And, I think they've had 11 out injured up till now this season. They've been hit with torrential injuries, but it's worrying as a Derby side. You said before on T-Lot, they've not got a good number 10. Wycombe played there yesterday. Obviously, they've been unlucky with Elliot Embleton, but Smith, Forner, Mendes, Lang, Barkusen, it's decent, but there's no creativity in my eyes. Mendes Lang's got speed. He can really get at them. But Smith and Forner are going to break up play. There's no one there to unlock a back door. And Waghorn and Collins are very similar. There's no runners. It's just 2 hold-up players. And it kind of feels like Derby have got good players, but they've not got a good system to fit them in.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think we spoke about it earlier that Derby recruited defenders and experienced defenders at this level over the summer window, and it's starting to show a little bit because they're really struggling to score. Like you mentioned there, number 10 is a massive issue. If you had a Jason Knight in this team, or you had, a fit Conor Hourihane that you could play further up, then I don't think we'd be sat here talking about the issues that Derby have got. But unfortunately, injuries are part and parcel of football. It leads me back to my point. Thank you, Jack. It leads me back to my point that I don't think Paul Warren's the right man. I don't think he's the right manager for this sort of team. And this might be controversial, Ben, and you tell me if it's naughty and if it's out of order or not. I think Darren Moore would be a better manager for Derby County than Paul Warren, because Darren Moore knows what the expectation is like at a big football club. Paul Warren has expectation at Rotherham, but if Rotherham were in League One with a team like Derby and Wednesday and Ipswich and whatever, there wouldn't be as much expectation on Paul Warren. And he would tend. That's when you tend for Paul Warren's side to go and exceed expectation because the eyes aren't on them. Everyone's eyes, apart from one of mine, are on Derby County this season because of how big they are. So for me, just sort of proves to me again the weekend that, what was it, 1 shot on target against Cambridge United at home. That's horrific. If you're Derby County, that's a game you should be earmarking as, right, do you know what? We've not had confidence in the last couple of weeks. Let's go and hit them for 2, 3, 4. I think we all predicted, didn't we, for Derby to win convincingly. And they let you down again.
Can I just ask you, where did you get in your table prediction? Where do you put Derby, out of interest?
Where
do you put them?
Second.
Okay. Can I ask you something? Okay. If Fleetwood had Derby's squad, where would you put Derby? Where would you put Fleetwood? Sorry.
If Fleetwood had Derby's squad,
you wouldn't put them second, would you?
No, you wouldn't. The reason you put them second, and did you put them top? Yeah, because it's Derby County, and you realise at some point they'll get their act together and they'll actually start winning games, and they've got too good a team to not. Have they got too good a team? I don't think they do. I think there's
good players in there. I think there's good players in there, Jake, right? But there's 7 or 8 players, I think, in my opinion, that are really good League One players. The rest, I kind of think, they come and go, really. It really is. And it's like, Collins, 1 week he's good, he'll score twice, and the next, you don't see anything from him. Barkus and Mendes, Nyambi, again, he's been one of their better players. He's a 7 or 8 out of 10 every week. You don't want your right back being your best player. You look at Wednesday last year, every week they had Bannon flying, Will Vokes flying. They had a number 10. To get out of this league, you need a good mobile forward, a good hold-up player. Wednesday had that in Windass and Smith and Gregory last year. Midfield, they had Will Vokes, they had Barry Bannon, they had, those types of players. They had energy, even in the Pattersons, who's one of your older players. They had, Femowo, who's a really good centre-half. And obviously, they're not doing too well in the Championship, but forget that for a minute. We'll come back to Wednesday later on when we do the Daily Departed bit. But I just look at Darwin, worry for them. I think we do deserve to give credit before we do move on, because I'm not making this all about Derby, to Cambridge, who went there. So the first time they got points off better sides, because Reading, I wouldn't really call it better side, they beat at home. They came to Fleetwood and won again. I think they're better than Fleetwood. They proved their worth now. That's 14 points from 9 games under Mark Bonner. Superb.
Yes, Cambridge are very good at football, aren't they? Under Mark Bonner. I think they backed him this window. I think that's the difference as to what you saw last year. Cambridge wouldn't have had a lot of wiggle room in terms of players moving out, but this year they had a clear out, and I think Bonner took out the players that he didn't want and players that weren't going to fit this new energetic system, and he's brought in lads that have, like Hadmay and Sulikai and players like that. Okanabiri starting to hit the ground as well. So I think Cambridge deserve a lot of credit going to Pride Park and walking away with something. 5 years ago, if you said Cambridge are going to go to Derby in a league game and go and get a point off them, like you'd think you're bizarre. So I think you have to give a load of credit to Mark Bonner and to Cambridge United. I think they were excellent yesterday.
I tell you what, Northampton, what a performance. And it's been coming. Northampton have deserved a real good win. Look, it's only the second away win of the season. They beat Cheltenham. Everyone has beaten Cheltenham so far until Tuesday.
Not everyone.
We go there Tuesday. But and Fleet will go there Tuesday. But Northampton, they've lost 5 games, all by the scoreline of 1. And they've been in games. They've lost the last 3. They've been the better side in a couple of those. Wycombe have one shot and it scrambled over the line.
They were better against us.
Yeah, again, and Stevenage at home was a 50-50 game. Both sides, kind of adapting to the level, shall we say. And they've gone and scored. Hoskins again, his 4th goal of the season. Patrick Burr with another goal as well. A big clean sheet. Exeter, 2 defeats now at home in the last 3. They did obviously get a good result in there recently as well. They've lost 3 of the last 4. They conceded 9 in the Papa John's Trophy. I don't think this is a blip. I know they won in the Carlisle Cup against Luton in the week, didn't they? But I don't know. They were without Dimitri Mitchell in this one. Again, a back 5. Again, they've played that all year. Again, I think the lack of strikers. They've done well without. They've gone to, I think they went to Carlisle and won with no strikers. They've done it numerous times. But I do think overall, in a full season, you're going to struggle with no strikers. Yannick Wilshere is not a striker. I don't think Cox is an out-and-out striker. The midfield is good. I like it. The likes of Carrolls, Coles, Taylors, Trevitt, who's been involved this year. What do you make of this one?
I don't disagree. I think, and we experienced this at the weekend as well. When you've got a cup game in midweek, you put so much effort into that cup game. You draw a Premier League side at home, you're putting so much effort. And you've got to bear in mind as well that you're playing against a Premier League team. You're not going to have the ball for a lot of the game. I'm not making excuses for Exeter, but they'd be knackered after Tuesday night or Wednesday night, whenever it was they played. Was it Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday, the day before us. We saw it on Saturday ourselves after we played West Ham. They're just emotionally they're drained, and it gets difficult to get up for a game against Northampton at home after you just played Luton and knocked them out of the Carabao Cup. Yes, they were without Mitchell, but they've still got enough players. Dimitri Mitchell is not the one reason why Exeter City were top of the league 3 weeks ago, is he? They had Trevitt, they had Like you say,
I did play yesterday.
I think the likes of Tom Carroll's been fantastic in there. They just a couple of defensive mistakes yesterday for Northampton. I thought again excellent. Sammy Hoskins popping up in the right time at the right place. Just a great player. So yeah, and the lads on T-Lop have been battering Northampton a little bit. I think I've been the most positive out of the four of us on Northampton. I think they're a very good side. And I think under John Brady, they kept John Brady. It was linked with a Charlton job. I think keeping hold of him is a very good idea. Very good manager, progressive. They've got some good players. They're changing. Because if you remember, Ben, last time Northampton came up to League One, they were a shambles under Keith Curle, playing it long, doing absolute crap. Yes, but they've turned it around under Brady. They've come up with a new ethos, and I really think they're a good side. I think they're going to do really well this year. They'll comfortably be above the drop for me.
I love John Brady. I think what I like his ethos. I would never, ever, unless you're out of work, gone to Charlton and left Northampton. Yeah. Northampton, a steady club. You've just got him. After all the pain they've been through, the Bristol Rovers situation, missing out on the play. I think we all knew as soon as Northampton didn't go up automatically that season, we all knew they wouldn't. I put 25 quid on them to lose in that semi-final over 2 legs and won the bet because I was so sure. I don't condone betting, by the way. I know great team only, but I just think that the mentally gone, and to get over that and to go up the way they did, I thought was fantastic. Next up, it's Fleetwood 1, Leyton Orient 0. Before we do get into that, and if you haven't seen my vlog from yesterday, go and check it out. It's on the description. Let's go and see what happened in 45 seconds before we come back to you. Come on, the Cods. Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome back. Welcome back for another video on the channel. Wow, what a win that is! You have to wait for good things sometimes. Good things come to those that wait. 9 games, and we finally got our first win, our final first clean sheet of the season. Finally, that was hard. There you are. What a result. Fleetwood Town getting their first victory of the season, and it felt like we'd won the FA Cup. It really, really did. And it was special. Those last 8 minutes were the worst 8 minutes of my life. And it was painful. And it's just a need of Fleetwood. I think that if they would have won that 2-1, I'd have been less happy than Fleetwood winning it 1-0. To get a clean sheet and to dig in. As soon as we got the goal, I thought, right, it's 1-0 this. That's all it's going to be. And we dug it out. Look, a couple of acts of simulation nearly got Leyton Orient back into the game. Carl Johnson gets sent off. There, Ethan Galbraith, who was hyping up before the game as one of their better players, with Jordan Graham and Rui Sartorio. It was a superb result. And we're on 5 points, first victory of the season. And Lee Johnson, 4 points from the first 3. I think you'd take that. Come on.
Yeah, I think so, Ben. And can I just say, it's very good to see you talking about football with a smile on your face, by the way, after you finally won a game. You didn't have
it was getting a bit miserable, wasn't it?
You were talking about jumping off a boat, you're talking about contracting sepsis, taking tablets. So we're starting to get a bit worried about you, but now Fleetwood have finally won a game. You can get on the train like the rest of us. But you know what? I've said this, and it's pretty much rinse and repeat. Fleetwood have been threatening to beat a team this season, Ben. I think you'll agree more than most. And yesterday you came up against a Leyton Orient side who had the chances, and had they taken the chances, perhaps you might not be sat here talking about a win, but you didn't. You kept them out. You scored a goal. It's a very good finish, by the way, from Jack Marriott under the goalkeeper. And you know what? Fair play. You're off the mark. You must. That first win of the season is the best win of the season for me, because you've had all the hype of the summer and you've gone right, and then you win a game and you go, get in, fantastic. You've had to wait until nearly the end of September, bless you. I cannot imagine what you've been going through. But I will be asking you for about Orient, because we do play them on Tuesday. And I know you want to probably ask me about Cheltenham because we play them. You play them on Tuesday, which is a bit weird. But yeah, well done, Fleetwood, deserved, and very happy for you. When I looked through the results about 5-5, I noticed that all 4 of us had won. I jumped in the air. I was ecstatic.
Can I just say, I know it was just before, right? When 8 minutes goes up, honestly, there's a lot in my vlog that did not make the cut, right? And I was like, oh my Lord, this is torture. And they kept going through. And then literally Judica Turner, got the ball in my video. And he didn't keep it in the corner and he went to score a second. And they broke through. Yeah, Jake?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was just picking something up off the floor. Carry on.
Anyway, Junior Caternia, again, gets the ball and he goes to a second and they break through. And I honestly, at that point, thought 2-0. Sorry, 1-1. But again, we've got 3 points. In the words of the vlog, get the in. Come on. Oh, mate. Someone actually said football's going to take years off you, but it nearly did in January. And I think it's going to nearly do again. If I go missing, you know why. Lincoln City 2, Cheltenham 0. A job that was done within the first 20 to 25 minutes. Easy. Lincoln back to winning ways, 4th victory of the season. 3 draws, 2 defeats in there. An impressive start to life in League One with a lot of injuries. But again, Reed to the Y, getting another assist to his name. Again, what I like about Lincoln this year, when I've gone through the stats, Jensen's got 4 clean sheets. Sorensen's now scored 2 goals, 2 assists. Teddy Bishop's got 2 goals, 2 assists. Hackett's got 2 goals, 3 assists. Hamilton scored a couple of goals as well. Erhan, who's not got the goals or assists to prove it, in my opinion, he's been one of the best midfielders in the league this year for what he's done without scoring goals or assists. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. Brown, I'm a big fan of as well. Another clean sheet for the Imps. You're doing your job steadily. The last year, you draw that game 0-0 or 1-1. You've got goals. You've got I've just said 5 or 6 match winners in there.
Yeah, and I think what did it yesterday, and I'd hate to be nasty to Cheltenham because after they made the changes, they were actually pretty decent. But before they set up with a diamond, and it just allowed our wing backs just too much room. And if you give a player of last quality, a player of last Sorensen's quality and Jaden Brown's quality enough room, they're going to hurt you. If they can play into Hamilton and Erhan had 5 yards of space every time he got the ball in the first half. You do not give a player of his quality 5 yards. Ethan Hamilton as well. You boys were talking on T-Lop earlier about the best midfielders in the league. I'll tell you what, our 2 midfield, Ethan Erhan and Ethan Hamilton, I don't know if you get much better than that, genuinely. As a two, I don't think there's anyone better. Yeah. But no, Sorensen got his 2 goals. By then, obviously, like I mentioned about Exeter, we had West Ham on Wednesday. We were knackered after that. Such a good night. We didn't have to get out of second gear. Cheltenham, when they made the changes, I thought were decent, but didn't really offer much, mate. I'd be worried if I were a Cheltenham fan. And you're going to Cheltenham on Tuesday. I'd be thinking, you know what, that's an opportunity to get back-to-back wins because they just do not look like scoring. And then going back, just you look at our first goal, mate. You just have to look at it. Sean Long, Sean Long? It is Sean Long, isn't it? Yeah.
Sam Long, I think.
No, Sam Long plays for Lincoln. And
Sean. Yeah.
Sean Long plays for Chelsea. He ducked out of the way and gave the ball to Teddy Bishop. But you know what? We've got Danny Mandroya coming back. Tyler Walker's not far away, hopefully. Jack Vale's coming back. Do you know what? We can stay in the playoff hunt between now and January. I think we'll have a very good chance. And games like that proved to me last year we've made progress. Like you said, we draw that last year, but this got in front and coasted it. Didn't have to get out of second gear.
Absolutely. We are gonna rush through. Got a bit of an echo. Hey, you're fine now. We are gonna kind of rush through the games, but Darrell Clarke now been appointed as manager of Cheltenham, a man who's managed over 500 games, got an over 40% win record. Similar appointment in terms of experience to Lee Johnson, obviously a bit older. Spends quite a while at football clubs, Port Vale, Bristol Rovers, to mention kind of the bulk of it. I think it's a really good appointment overall, and I do think that he can't get any worse. They've gone 10 games and not scored a goal. So it's a big few weeks for him, and it might be one of those where we see the fruits of it coming through in the next 2 or 3 weeks and not in the next 2 or 3 days, hopefully. Next up, Peterborough, again, in the Johnson Clark Harris derby. Now, Peterborough won 3 out of 5 at home, got Carlisle and Lincoln up next, and they're really starting to charge up that table now where Peterborough kind of, you'd expect them to. Obviously, Johnson Clark Harris nearly signed for Bristol Rovers. Had a quiet game, but still was, a big player for them. Collins getting his first goal for the football club is huge. He scored 14 in 220 games down at Exeter. Again, good result against a Joey Barton side that called Luke Thomas out, if you're not aware. He said Luke Thomas was a disgrace. He went off basically with an injury, didn't say anything until the 13th minute of the 15. Said, I've tweaked up a bit here. I want to go back out. I think I'll be all right. And then pulled up. He didn't go to press. I've watched the clip. He kind of sat in it on halfway. And they played through him. It's Hunt's fault for the goal. The two centre halves are static in Grant and Taylor. Really are. They're on their kind of on the feet, not doing anything. And then they put the ball in the back of the net, or the onion bag, as you say. Joey Barton basically said he's going to fine him. He doesn't deserve his week's wages. He's cost his team. And Joey Barton, yet again, not taking responsibility, putting it on one man. What that's going to do to one of, I'd say Luke Thomas has been the top 3 best players of Bristol Rovers this season as well.
He has. Yeah, he has. Yeah, really impressive. Really impressed with him when we went down there a couple of weeks ago before the international break. Difficult one really, because we expected Clark Harris to be lining up at Portman Road in the blue and white quarters rather than the blue and white of Posh. But I thought it was a decent game. Peterborough, I don't think they massively had to get out of second gear again, really, to beat Bristol Rovers. They sort of handed it to them, didn't they? It's a great strike from Collins for the first. Whether it takes a nick on the way through, it probably does, but still ends up in the back of the net. And then, I don't like this about Joey Barton. I've never liked Joey Barton since he tried to get Matt Reed sent off in the FA Cup round of 16. Not really been a massive fan of him since then. And he's been your manager, Ben, and he gets the fans all behind him, and they're all going to be backing him. And all the Bristol Rovers fans, speak to Charlie. He's right behind him. He agrees with him completely about everything, because that's the hold and the power Joey Barton has on the supporters of the team he manages. So I think what he did was wrong. If I was Luke Thomas, I mean, you'll hear my thoughts on T-Lop. Quite short, quite sweet. I wouldn't be playing for him.
Not just in that regard.
Yeah, not just in that regard. But I wouldn't be wanting to play for a manager that calls you out like that. And if Bristol Rovers, if they're a good team unit, would they want to play for someone that's going to, if you make a mistake, you're going to get called out for it? It becomes a fine line. And if it happens too much, Joey Barton could well be out of a job in a couple of weeks, but we'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely. I think we can get through this game within 30 seconds. Reading 0, Burton 0. Burton 5
Tennis
points.
Balls. Tennis
Burton
balls.
in the last 3 games. Tennis balls. Dai Young out.
Die Young out.
The wages have been paid, which is good, but Dai Young needs to leave that football club. That squad yesterday, there's a little bit by Bindon, Dean, McIntyre, Wings, Savage, Aziz, Hibahashian, Nibs, Butter. They're all decent players at League One level.
Double P nappers.
Yeah. No. We'll just call them Dave. Anyway, 10 points from the last 4 home games, 3 wins and a draw. Burton are improving, and a couple of good weeks for them. Obviously, they've got Wigan now coming up, and they've got Cambridge coming up as well. 2 home games at the Pirelli. Going to be massive.
Yeah, big week for Burton. I think we've already said what we need to say about Reading, mate. The fact that he needs to get out of the football club ASAP. I thought it was really good. The fans all went in black, didn't they, to celebrate his funeral. 3 tennis balls on the pitch. I think I've got a mate who sits in the singing section at Reading. He said it was the best part of the whole game, which pretty much sums it all up. You're looking like you were puzzled because I said I've got a mate that's not one of you lot. Yeah, very good. But no, for Burton, good point. I think if you gave Burton a point at kick-off, they'd take it. Going into 2 back-to-back home games, back-to-back winnable home games for Burton as well. might give them a chance to push up the league a little bit and perhaps be a bit closer to where we sort of thought they would be come the end of the year.
Absolutely. And there's just under 80 people in the live strap. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Come on. 78 people. That's what Fleetwood take. So we'll be taking half that to Cheltenham on Tuesday night, and I'll be one of them. Get liking. It does help me out a lot. And subscribe. We're so close now to 12,000 subscribers. Port Vale 0, Bolton 1, Dion Scholes scores goals. 6th goal of the season, 36th in a Bolton shirt in 86 games, just under 1 in every 2.5 games in all competitions. Daniel Undu started up front with him as well. Again, quite an even game. I thought Port Vale's second half were excellent. They had 6 shots on target in the whole game. Possession was fairly even, 48-52. Again, just lacking that little bit of quality in the final third. They've got a very, very good squad, haven't they, Port Vale? But Bolton do seem the real deal. And again, it's a typical Bolton performance. Forrester played at the back, who was at Port Vale last season as well. Dion Charles scored his 15th away goal of for Bolton in the last season in a bit. So, yeah,
he's been on fire.
I must have missed that game when he played Fleetwood. 15 goals at the start of last season, and it's a really good result. It's what Bolton were doing at the back end of last season and what they started to do at the start of this season.
Yeah, and I think this sort of shows you how far Port Vale have come. That Bolton didn't run away with it like many thought they would do. Shows you the progress that they've made. But for Bolton to go to Vale Park and pick up a win is a great result considering how well they've played in the last couple of weeks. They are a little bit short in bodies up front, aren't they? I think Thomas had a bit of a knock or perhaps didn't play like he wanted to. Ryan Loft, we're yet to see the best of him in a Vale shirt. So, yeah, I think it's a good win for Bolton. Going away to Port Vale is difficult. Well backed by the supporters at Vale Park. It's a horrible place to go, as you've already found out once this year. So, yeah, we play Port Vale.
If you know, you know. Shrewsbury now. Again, a fairly... It was a decent 0-0 overall. Winchester nearly scored a screamer. For Charlton, a couple of positives. Unbeaten under Appleton. 3 games, 2 draws, 1 win. Unbeaten 4-2 wins, 2 draws. So they are starting to get points on the board. I was about to say picks on the board. What does that mean? Again, Lieber, May and Blackett Taylor is their front 3 going forward, and it will score goals, not on this occasion. I'm worried for Shrewsbury. Second lowest XG in the league on 6.5. They did have 8 shots on target yesterday, but Matty Taylor, I think, is in a little bit of trouble because they've only scored 1 goal in the last 6 games, and that was away to Fleetwood, who had 10 men after that for the best part of 55 minutes. Then they had 9 men for the best part of 5 minutes. So I do worry. I do think Shrewsbury are a side that are going to be dogging. And a bit like Scott Brown, Matt Taylor gets a result when he needs it. I think that if they lose these next couple of games, I think he could be the next managerial casualty because taking over Cotterill is not an easy thing. And I don't think they've even looked anything like they've done the Cotterill. There's a bit of fight, but they look so bland and naive, and they get a goal and they try and sit on it. And it's a good squad. It's not a squad that should be bottom 6, bottom 8 of League One. That is a side that should be pushing near where Lincoln are. Let's be honest. Dunkley, Flanagan, Feeney, Kenner, Winchester, Adoa, Matter. These are all really good players at League One level.
Yeah, but you're listing them there. I'm sat here as a Lincoln fan thinking, I'd rather have what we've got than they've got.
I don't think they're as good as you, but they should be.
Yeah,
they should be targeting where you are.
They should be targeting. Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a decent game. Shrewsbury should have had I don't know how Shrewsbury didn't score in the first half. Genuinely, they had so many opportunities. Pinball in the penalty area. Harry Isted made a couple of good saves, and then second half it was a complete switch around, and it was all in front of the Charlton fans. It was all Charlton, and they had a couple of opportunities. Corey Blackett-Taylor, Alfie May, I think, number 22, whose name absolutely escapes me, should have scored as well. But do you know what? I think they're starting to learn under Appleton a little bit on how it is they need to play. They'll get better. Charlton will get better under Appleton. He's a manager that takes a little bit of time to get used to. Shrewsbury, Matty Taylor, I put him down as my first casualty of the season. I didn't really like the appointment. I didn't like the recruitment. It's going to be interesting. The just poor, mate, aren't they? The XG, the going forward, they've got options. Last year, I think it fell for them a little bit, kind of. Jordan Shipley was getting in the right spaces. Tom Bailiff was in the right place. This year, the ball's not quite falling for them, and they're sort of paying for it. Yeah, they are. It's just that spark, you know. I'm trying to think about it. We've got Mandroyu. You've got somebody like, goodness me, I'm really struggling. Quintero at the minute is doing really well, flicking defence from attack. So they just need somebody like that to get cracking.
Absolutely. And cheers, Charlie. Yep, get liking, people. Again, we got nearly 100 likes last week, so if you can match that, that'd be appreciated. Stevenage, again, started well, didn't they, against Oxford? First home defeat. However, they've only won one home game, and that was against Shrewsbury on the first home game. It was a fairly even game, in my opinion, that Oxford just bossed the midfield. Similar setup, both played the back three. Oxford were absolutely phenomenal. They won the last 4 away games, scored 3 in the last 3 games, which, you know, against Fleetwood, Exeter, Stevenage. Again, relegation side time, top 10 team and a top 6 team. You built it up and played 3 oppositions, 2 away, 1 at home. So, again, we can kind of see Greg Lee scoring twice, Moore getting a goal, a new contract in the week. What more could you want from an Oxford United side? Brilliant 3 points. The only thing lacking is it was a clean sheet, let's be honest. But we've seen a steal to Oxford where, a little bit like Portsmouth, coming from behind, Oxford, I think, deserve enormous credit, because that midfield of Magoon and Brannigan and Rodriguez, and, you know, you can either have Stanley Mills, Greg Lee, Tyler Goodrum, Billy Bowden, Harris as well, who I think is back next week for Tuesday, because he served the 3, hasn't he? Fleetwood, Exeter and this, so he should be back.
Yeah, can I be honest with you, Ben? When you made that Watmore pun earlier on Taylor, I thought you meant you were talking about the Preston centre-back, Jack Watmore. But you know what? Fair enough.
It's a decent one, isn't it?
Well, it is for someone that's maybe not a bit more intelligent than me. But yeah, I thought Oxford were good.
Oh.
Let's not discount Stevenage. I thought they did well. Big goal, Reedy scored to put them 1-0 up. But that's about it, really, from Stevenage's point of view. They were poor, and I think what you've seen here is a side that's got momentum and a side that's got genuine quality. And the side with momentum started really well, like a house on fire, and then the quality shines through, and the cream comes to the top, mate. It always does. And Oxford are a well-organised unit. You know, Liam Manning changed it. They normally play 4-back. They went for a 3-back. I think Wardy's excellent appearance on the Stevenage Borough podcast did really helped him out.
Yeah. No, we're not gonna go to a back 3. We'll play a back 4. If we go behind, we're gonna lose.
But yeah, they're a good outfit, Oxford, and I think, you know, getting 2 goals from wing back, like Greg Lee, it was really good for Morecambe. Struggled at Ipswich because he was behind such a good player, and Leif Davis is probably the best wing back in the Championship in the league above. So yeah, it's a good win for Oxford to go to the Lamex and get something is a very good win, and I think Wardy's bouncing off the wall with it.
Final 2 games now. We are going to come to our featured game later on, but this one, Wigan against Portsmouth.
Just highlight Dylan's comment and just put, so it finished 2-1 Portsmouth, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. There we are. Wigan have now lost their last 4 matches, scored 3 in that run, conceded quite a few now, 10 goals in that run as well. 2 to Blackpool, 4 to Bristol Rovers, 2 here, 2 to Barnsley. They had 2 sending off. Charlie Wycombe, Charlie Hughes getting sent off in those 4 games as well. Burton away is massive on Tuesday night for them. But for this Portsmouth side, they keep getting better. They are now 21 unbeaten since the 4th of March. I think they last lost to Sheffield Wednesday. How fortunes have changed. 10 wins, 11 draws in that run. They've now absolutely steaming League One. They're top of the table, keeping clean sheets, scoring goals, coming from behind. They're doing everything when they need to. Need to stop going behind and giving the fans high blood pressure, and because they're not always going to do it. But 11 points from going 1-0 down. Lincoln, Peterborough, Bristol Rovers, Derby, now Wigan. They're doing it against some good sides as well. And this at Kamara, Bishop, Lane, Robertson, who's going to add so many goals when he gets going, Pack, Morel. It's just a real good feel factor at the minute. And the Blues just keep performing. And Messina deserves all the credit. And they're absolutely flying at this moment in time. They've done this last season, but this feels different. The difference is Paddy Lane is now flying since coming in January. 3 goals in 3 for him, the star boy. And the other star boy, Regan
Just about to
Poole.
mention that. Where did they get those players from, mate? Just some tiny little League One teams. Eh?
Exactly.
You are bloody welcome, Portsmouth,
Yeah,
by the
exactly.
way.
I tell you what, though, Paddy Lane, 3 goals in 3. He looks unbelievable. And Scott Brown did not play him because he didn't think he was good enough. He's a clown. And I'm so good to see. Portsmouth are very good at football, aren't they, at this moment in time?
Yeah, they're good. Portsmouth are good. I don't want to give too much credit because I won't hear the end of it if I do from Dylan. So, I thought they were good. I think it would be harsh not to mention Wigan. Wigan had a good start, good finish from Godou into the far corner. But then Pompey sort of just steamrolled it, didn't they, with the quality? And they could have had 4, to be honest. Gavin White should have scored. Alex Robertson had a really good opportunity that was palmed away. So, yes, Portsmouth are good at football. I think having a manager like John Messinio coming in and changing the whole approach, because you look at the managers they went for before, Jackett and Cowley, 2 well-established managers. They've gone for something a little bit different, and they're really sort of, bearing the fruit. So, fair play, Portsmouth. I think they're tough. Everyone's going to have a bad patch. Pompey will have a bad patch. They won't go unbeaten.
We always say that, don't we, on this show? Everton have a 5 game.
If this is the team that's going to win the league, or this is the team that's going to go up automatically, you need to see how they react. If they lose 3, and if they go and win the next 4, that tells you everything you need to know about Portsmouth, and they have the ability to be doing that.
Didn't we say that last year when Portsmouth lost? We said we need to see how they're going to do when they lose a couple of games, and they reacted really well. Wigan, prime example, 2 years ago, we kept calling them bounce back ability, didn't we? How good they could just spring one week. And Wigan, they will improve. Obviously, a few injuries. Callum Lang needs to step up, like it's just been mentioned in the chat by Katie. And again, Theo Asgard needs to. We need to see more. But now we're going to go to our featured game. George is here from the Wycombe Way. George, how are we doing, mate? I hope you are well. Great result yesterday. Congratulations. And Wycombe's starting to come good now.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity. Really good win yesterday against one of those sides where you sort of go into the game feeling a little bit iffy. A side, even at this stage in the season, are very desperate for points. It can always be tricky against the new teams in the division, but I think we're really starting to see what Bloomfield is doing with this Wycombe team. It's a comfortable win, probably the most comfortable win we've had so far this season. Sam Vokes up front is back to his best. The experienced players are really doing very well. The younger players are sort of coming into the system now. And so I think sort of what Bloomfield is trying to do on the training ground is really bearing its fruits now.
Absolutely. Now, what has changed from me since those opening 2 games? You lost 3-0 to Exeter, 3-0 to Lincoln. What has changed? Because we've seen you go to Northampton. We've seen you have, these against Blackpool, these 30% of possession and win games of football. But then we've seen you go to the Valley. We've seen yesterday you had 60%. And for the first time when you've had more possession than a team, that was the first time you've actually won a game of football this season under Bloomfield. And it kind of felt like, hang on, you were winning games like you did under Gareth Ainsworth. And the transition period's been hard, I think. But what has kind of changed in those little bit of a 5-game run?
I think it's just being about a bit more sturdy at the back. It's easy to look at the 3-0 scorelines in those 2 games and assume that Wycombe were played off the park. But certainly in the home game against Exeter, it was 2 goals in the first 3 minutes. And at that stage, your game plan goes out the window and you're already chasing the game, even just sort of 3 minutes in. And then at Lincoln the week after, we were well in the game until sort of the hour mark, and then we just sort of capitulated. 3 sort of good goals from Lincoln, but sloppy from our point of view. And so it's easy to look at the scoreline and sort of just assume that Wycombe we're second best all over the pitch. But I think we've been in every game so far this season. Yesterday, like you say, the first game we've had more possession at and won. And so that will fill Bloomfield with a lot of confidence. And like you said, it's just about sort of building on that performance. It's a good thing that we can do that and win. and that will give Bloomfield and the squad plenty of confidence going forward.
And final question, what is the aim for Wycombe this season? Like, because we've seen Wycombe in previous years, one game at a time, and you've always been kind of, well, Wycombe should be in and around the playoffs. You've not always got the biggest of budgets. It's kind of legs, hearts, minds, and you'll battle for everything. What is the aims of the supporter base? Because obviously I think that's important to bear in mind as well.
I mean, if you had asked me pre-season, most people would have said sort of mid-table. A season of sort of just getting comfortable with a lot of new signings. When you've had a manager for 10 years, it can be so tricky to move on to sort of different things. And Bloomfield, when he came in, he made a big point about wanting to do it his way. He didn't want to rely on the sort of the culture and the way that Ainsworth was playing over the years. Because at times Wycombe was sort of, given this long ball team tag. At times it was probably deserved and, it's accurate. But I think for Bloomfield, he's come in and he's trying to sort of begin a whole new dynamic. And sort of even without sort of the managerial change and everything else, that can be tricky. There's a lot of players here who've played under Ainsworth for a while. So it's about Bloomfield sort of arguing his more experienced players to play a different style of football, but also trying to bed in those new players as well. And so sort of at this stage where we are after 10 games, if we somehow get a result on Tuesday, sort of we're looking at the top 3 again. But I think if you would sort of ask many Wycombe fans if we'd take where we are now after 10 games, we just snapped your hand off and been delighted. And I think we are at this stage.
Absolutely. And a couple of quick fire questions from the chat. Logan's a Portsmouth fan. What's your score prediction for Tuesday? Obviously, it's a tough game now, going to Portsmouth. I wouldn't want to do that at the moment.
I suppose it's one of those games that you sort of want to get out of the way. Portsmouth are in great form, and it's going to have to be one of those performances from us if we're to get anything from the game where you look back in May at the end of the season and think, wow, that was some performance to get a result there. Going to Fratton Park is tricky at any time of the year. But when they're unbeaten in 21 games going back to last season, they're scoring goals at the minute. Even when they go behind, they're finding ways to get back into the game. And so it's one of those games that could go either way, really. We could see one of those typical Wycombe performances where we go there, shut up shop and sort of scrape a goal here or there. Or Portsmouth could turn on the style and really sort of push us to one side. So I'm going to sit on the fence, get splinters, and go for a 1-0.
And final question, George, where can they go and find your kind of the stuff that you do and have a little listen?
It's the Wycombe Way on Twitter. You can tune into our pint-sized preview every Thursday evening, where we look ahead to the Wycombe game at the weekend and preview the previous games as well.
George, thank you so much for coming on, mate. And I'll see you Thursday to talk all things Fleetwood against the Chairboys. George, all the best, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Thank you very much. As George leaves now, Jake, a big roundup. We're going to come to the Tuesdays games now. You've still got a YouTube channel for now. If you want to go and give it a little bit of a plug.
I can do. I mean, it's completely. It's probably as dead as my grandma at this point.
It's going to come back though, isn't it?
It's going to come back. I've got
I think
got a new computer coming in a couple of months. Got a new hopefully a new mic, which will be good. But yeah, Channel 72. The plan is to get back on board with it. It's like I said, it's been a busy couple of months with work, but come over and also, I mean, the main reason I'm still about is T-Lop. If you want to come over and listen to that League One pod, if you actually, can I do the Patreon thing? Can I plug the Patreon while we're here? Why not? Yeah. $4 a month, £3.50 a month. You get 4 podcasts, one every week. That's $1 a podcast. Well. There's me, Ben, Tom from Thornhill, Wardy's all there. It's genuinely, and you get to come and watch our faces. And do you know what? I would say that today was actually probably the funniest episode because of some of the faces. Thank you, Wardy. Appreciate that. In terms of, I just think you got to come over and look at the page and you get the pod early. You get T-Op extras coming on the international breaks. I think you should all come over and give us $4 a month, and it were the best $4 you ever spent.
And thank you so much to Charlton Fan 18 who's donated 59 and okay, I think it's Norwegian. I actually thought it was North Korea at first, but again, I think that's around about £4. So thank you so much. You can also support the channel by joining up as a member now on this channel. We are doing extra content, so it's literally £1.99 in the description below if you want to. But we've got some news before we go into the last two segments of the show, which is Tuesday's games previews. We're not going to do Saturday because we're here on Wednesday, and we've got a good guest, a good co-host. We've upgraded for the day. We can't wait to give you that on Wednesday evening. But we've got an announcement. We're going to play that video now, and I need every single one of you in the chat to help out. Play that video. Big thank you to you lot at home, the viewers. Again, I'm massively appreciative of you. Every week you tune in. We have been nominated for the Football Content Awards, year number 5 years in a row. Cod's Vlogs has been nominated this year for Best Content Creator in the EFL, and I need your help. Go down to the description below, click the link, go to Best Content Creator Football League. There's an arrow tab. Go down, press Cod's Vlogs, scroll to the bottom, and press vote. There we go. Thank you so much for nominating for Cod's Vlogs as Best Content Creator in a Football League. We've made the final 10. We're up against, a Wrexham, a Cardiff, a Sheffield Wednesday, all these big football clubs, 8 in the Championship, and Wrexham and little old Fleetwood. So if you could go and vote and you enjoy what we do here on this channel, it'd be massively appreciated if you go down to the description, press the link. It'll literally take 15 seconds, and it's free to do so as well. Now, we need your guys' comments. What are you laughing at?
Wardy's comment.
Right,
Go on, Wardy. To be fair, he was throwing a few punches today on T-Lot, wasn't he? He had the gloves on. To that man, he was nibbling at everything.
He's got it in for me. Wardy, calm down, lad. Anyway, so if you could go and vote, it's free to do so. Also, get your guys' questions in for the last 5 minutes of the show. We'll answer all your guys' League One question. We're going to come now to Tuesday's games very quickly. There's some absolute big ones in here. Blackpool Derby. To start off with, that's a huge game. The Seasiders are looking to make it 3 wins in 3. You could also go into the playoffs. Only 2 points off 4th after being 14th, not so long ago as well. Against a Derby side that can also go into the playoffs, but again, have been flat recently.
Yeah, good game, mate, isn't it? And to find out our predictions, head to patreon.com/That League One podcast.
We're not going to give predictions, but we're
not going to give but yeah, it's going to be a good game, mate. 2 good sides. You'd anticipate Blackpool, like you said, sort of coming into their own a little bit. Derby, one of them. Interesting to see how they get on. So yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. Bolton Stevenage next, another cracker. Both sides are flying high in Sky Bet League One. And it was third against 4th. It was third against, third against second at the weekend. It's third against 4th against 3rd. Actually, give Stevenage some credit. I just can see a Bolton victory in this. I know last week I said I can never predict Stevenage to lose. I've done that in the last 3 weeks. But bar that, I can never see Stevenage losing many games of football. But Bolton, this is a big result because if they won 1-0 at Port Vale, they've now got Stevenage and Carlisle at home. If they can go and get 9 points and get to 23 points from their opening 11 games after a really good start winning the first 3 games, a bad run, it just shows you what a run of 3 games can do. Win your first 3, then don't be a bit poor for a win 2 in 7, say. Then win your next 3. It means you're going to be in the picture.
Yeah, Bolton are, if they can get 6 on the next 2, I think that sort of sets them up nicely to go and just stay in that top 2 bracket for the rest of the season. So, yeah, again, it's going to be another good game. But, Stevenage, Mugs, mate, Stevenage are going to be a good side. They've won 4 out of 5 away on the road. So it's going to be really interesting. One of the best home teams against one of the best away teams. So could well be a cracker.
Bristol Rovers host Port Vale, and a game I think that if Port Vale go and win, I think they are really our top 6 candidates. I know it's only Bristol Rovers, but going to the gas, going to the Mem and winning is not easy. It's difficult and it's hard to play. So I think a big game there. Wigan do travel to Burton, Jake, in a game that both sides are currently just inside and outside that bottom 4. Burton 2 home games this week could be huge for them, unbeaten in 3. Wigan, no, winning 4. What's your thoughts going into this one?
Yeah, I think Burton, I think they're coming off a good point away at Reading. I think that they've got a good enough team, and if they can get 4 points out of the next 2 home games, I think that's been a good week for them. What are you laughing at?
You'll carry on. Just Wardy's comments tickle me.
Ward is, yeah, he is a funny. He's a dry man. Is Jack Ward, but he's a very funny man. We'll give him that.
Yeah.
He'll probably get his. No, I can't say that. It's a family-friendly channel. It's not T-Lock. Yeah, no, it's going to be a good week for Burton. I think if they, like you said, 4 points out of those 2 games, they should be targeting. And Burton are one of those who many people predicted to finish a lot higher than where they are at the moment. So we need to see an improvement if they're going to actually be getting towards those.
Not mentioning names, but yeah. Again, Cambridge host Barnsley. Cambridge, 14 points from the opening 9. Barnsley, after 3 wins in 3, did lose at the weekend. Have been good away from home. It's going to be an interesting game. That one. Yeah. Carlisle hosts the posh Peterborough. Look to go to Carlisle and keep up their good run, as they've got Lincoln on Saturday as well. Charlton Exeter, Jay is next on the list. Charlton looking to make it 5 unbeaten and 4 unbeaten under Michael Appleton against an Exeter side that's looking to get back to winning ways. Yeah,
I think Exeter will be hurt a little bit on their sort of last couple of performances. They know they're better than that. But going to the Vale, Michael Appleton, his sides weren't genuinely very strong at home when he was a Lincoln manager. I think it's an opportunity for Exeter to go and get something from Charlton. But either way, it's definitely a tasty game. One of the tasty ones in midweek, that's for sure.
2 new managers meet as Darrell Clarke is in at Cheltenham. Lee Johnson has his 4th game as Fleetwood boss. It'll be his last game in the dugout as he serves his final game of 6 games suspended, 2 which he served at Sunderland, 3 now at Fleetwood. This will be his 4th. Again, Cheltenham look to score their first league goal and get their first league points of the season against Fleetwood. It's going to be an interesting game. Can Fleetwood make it back-to-back, or will Cheltenham finally undo a little bit of history? Leyton Orient hosts Lincoln. What are you thinking, Jake? Leyton Orient did go down to the best side in Sky Bet League One at the weekend. What are you thinking?
I think we're going to win. I think we're going to go there.
I think you win. I think you'll win 2-1.
I think we'll go there and win. It's not an easy place to go, but we've got we had a run of Cheltenham, Orient, Posh on Saturday, and then Burton and Fleetwood. You've got to be looking for 4 wins out of 5 if you're going to be serious about getting into the top 6, which we are this year, I think. So I think that's one of the ones that we have to go there and win. When they're on Tuesday, anything at Posh is makes Posh a free hit on Saturday. So yeah, I expect a tough test, but I think we might just beat them.
Reading, also the only team in Sky Bet League One yet to get a point away from home. They travel to Northampton and look to make it back-to-back wins for themselves. Oxford host Shrewsbury. Liam Manning's men will be looking to make it 8 wins in 9 in Sky Bet League One. And Portsmouth host Wycombe, Jake, in a big game, a game that could maybe we see the fruits of at the end of the season.
Yeah, Fratton under the lights, mate, is a very special place to be, and I'm very jealous of people that get to go and watch their team away at Pompey on a Tuesday night. Maybe if you're travelling, because it's a bit of a nightmare.
I've done it once.
It's a nightmare to get to on a Tuesday night, but yeah, it's going to be a good game. Portsmouth strong at home. You're thinking maybe another Poole and Paddy Lane duo to do it, but I think Wycombe will be a very difficult game for them. They're getting into form. They're a side that could well finish in the playoffs this year. I don't think Pompey are going to have it all their own way. I think Wycombe are going to go there and perhaps go to frustrate and see if they can nab something. Absolutely.
Now we're going to come to your guys' live questions, so flood them in for the last 5 minutes of the show. Bold prediction: May's average. don't think you can call the player who scored the best part of 45 goals in the previous 2 seasons average. I think he's very much like Jonathan Clarke-Harris. He doesn't do a lot other than score goals. I think that is my opinion of him.
Just look at Cheltenham now without Alfie May. They've not scored in 10 games, and they've lost Alfie May, who's, they didn't score for fun last year, but Alfie May scored. Maybe it says more about the team than it does Alfie May. Alfie May is not an average League One striker. Alfie May is a top 3 League One striker for me.
I think as a whole, he doesn't do what a Bishop does or a Dion Charles does. He's a bit like Jonathan Clarke-Harris, where he'll be a poacher, and his goals this season have been poachers' goals, but Charlton need goals, and Leyton is a good player. Leyton does more off the ball than May, so I can kind of see maybe why that's coming.
May's just there to put the ball in the net, mate. That's all. May. May's not the hold-up player. 25 goals and Charlton is still in the chat with it for a playoffs. Like 9 games is just a bit over form, isn't it? Like, what's good this season? We played, I think in the league we played 5 games and 5 games in September, haven't we? We've got 6 games 7 games in the next month, and then we've got a lot in November. Then we've got FA Cup coming in November. Yeah,
but I think we've got 15 games in the months of November and December. So that's where the seasons, and it also with pitches start to dig up in the later part of the year as well. We will start to see something soon, I think, as well. 2 points a game average. I think 90 points will get you promoted this year. 97 last year, which I don't think will happen again. Sorry, Ben, but Tuesday's hopefully the day we score our first goal.
Can't see it.
Is it a bit pointless? How long do you reckon we stay top 4 regarding to Portsmouth? And how long do we have the Jack Ward Football Podcast at one point? I think Portsmouth...
I think Oxford will fall out the top 2 before Pompey do.
Can I see Portsmouth being in the top 2 at the end of the season? I do believe that. Can I see him falling out on Tuesday night? Yeah, I could. Can I see them coming out on Saturday? Yeah. Do I see them going back in? Yeah. So I don't think you're going to stay in all season. I reckon there's going to be a time where you do go out of it. I don't see you losing a game of football, though. Like, looking at Portsmouth's fixtures, which I did before, I've just got them in front of me now. Wycombe at home, Vale at home, Northampton away, Carlisle at home, Cambridge away. There is some difficult fixtures in there. And I think maybe potentially Northampton or Cambridge, I could see you losing 1-0 at one of those clubs because how hard they make it when you go into their stadium. It might not happen, but I think Portsmouth are the real deal, but you're going to lose a game eventually. And like Jake said before, he came up with a really good point for the first time of how they bounce back from that. Fans do not win games of football, by the way. I'm not even going to get into that. Thank you so much. But biggest striker in January for Vale needed. Loft injury. If Wilson gets injured, then we're left with Thomas. Chislett's slight injury. Yes, Chislett was out injured yesterday, wasn't he? Loft I've never really saw as a 15-goal season striker. And Wilson, he's quite heavily injured a lot. That's why he left Vale originally, didn't he? Manager of the month for September. It's got me Messinho.
Got to be. John Messinho. I think... What have they got? 13 points this month. They've won against us, won against
Drew away at Derby, should have won. Beat Barnsley.
Drew at Derby. Beat Peterborough this month as well. Beat Wigan.
Beat some good sides.
I don't think you do any better than that. And the top of the league, playing good football. So for me, player of the month? Tough one.
Devante Cole. He's up there.
Regan Paul.
Yeah, I tell you what, he's scoring some goals, isn't he?
Yeah.
Right.
No, don't. Logan's already put it in the chat about 5 times.
He's
scored 300 odd games for Lincoln.
Pulling them out the onion bag.
Yeah.
Alfie May's lethal. Thoughts on Shrewsbury? I think we said it all. If you go back to a Shrewsbury, then we said it all there. Quickly on Ipswich, Jake, before we get to the final few questions. Obviously, the team that left us last year, just quickly. Ipswich doing really well at the top of the league. I'm not surprised, really.
No, I'm not surprised. That the football that McKenna had them playing last year, and you look at the teams that they're sort of kicking it with. Leicester in the Premier League, fantastic. Massive budget compared to Ipswich. Sunderland up there, Norwich, Leeds are above, Southampton are above. So yeah, Ipswich are doing fantastic.
Phenomenal.
You've then got Plymouth who are middle of the road, sort of having a good year by Plymouth's accounts, to be in
They'd take that, wouldn't they?
13th. And what did they beat Norwich? 6-2.
Yeah.
Morgan Whittaker scored
Yeah.
that trick. Good old footballer, that Morgan Whittaker. Who would have known Michael Appleton, eh? And then Wednesday. Well, you know what? What did you say on Teal up earlier, Nappers? Welcome back, boys. Good to see you.
No, I'm
You
good.
did.
I did say that. I did say that.
You did.
We are coming back.
They are.
All I'm going to say is, I've got a video out on the 3 team that came, so I'm not going to spoil it too much. Chanseri is an absolute idiot. You take his laptop off him, take his pen off him. EFL and the Football Association need to stop letting one owner, basically, as soon as something doesn't go their way, going, well, I'm not going to put any money in now because I didn't get my way, and your club goes bust. Like, this is not like, you're not playing around now, mate. You're playing with people's lives. You're playing with people's jobs. You're playing with people. Some Sheffield Wednesday fans, right? I'll be honest, I live for the football. I literally work, and make sure I'm at the football Saturday, Tuesday, Cheltenham Tuesday, Reading in a few weeks, because it's my life and I love it and I wouldn't have it any other way. Wednesday, to say you're not buying enough tickets, there's 26,000 in the ground. The 4th biggest in the Championship. Like, they got 25,000 nearly average crowd in League One against Fleetwood, against Burton, against absolute clown.
I don't think they'd be in the predicament they are if they had kept Darren Moore. Genuinely, no. Xisco Munoz is a good manager, and he did well at Watford, but he took over a very good side that Stefan Jukanovic left and got them promoted. You look at Dardini, Ismail Assar was in that team. Abdoulaye Decore. That was a good side, too good for the Championship. He's now working with a side that are good enough to be at that league. They are absolutely good enough to play at that level, but they're not standout players at that level. Barry Bannon is not the best midfielder at that level. Deshaun Bernard is not the best centre back. Michael Smith is not the best striker. So I think, he's rumoured to be losing his job into it. And where do Wednesday go? Where do Wednesday go? I just noticed. I know it's not League One related, but Michael Beale's been sacked by Rangers.
Yeah. Well, Wardy said him to Derby before, and I think it would be a very good fit. One final thing, because I am going to cover this as a video, and we did promise we'd cover this on the shows, and we've been a bit poor with it, so I thought give them 5 minutes today. If you put that Wednesday squad in League One, where do you think they finished? Because I still think they finished 3rd, 4th. I don't think they're better than Portsmouth or Oxford. This side.
I think they're better. I think they're better than.
They've got better managers. Portsmouth and Oxford have got better managers.
Yes. But I think, don't disagree. But I think this Wednesday side would churn out, and I think they'd be top. I think they'd be top,
didn't they, last year?
Exactly, 96 points.
It's not quite 100, is it?
It's not quite 100. But did you take any points off the Centurions last year, Ben? You did, didn't you?
In the league, no.
Yeah.
We lost both games, but we beat them.
You got a point off Plymouth.
Oh no, yeah. We got
Centurions, mate.
We got 4 points off Plymouth, right?
Yeah, so did we.
We got 2 off Ipswich.
We got 4 off Ipswich.
Right, okay, whatever.
So
Anyway, final few questions. Pompey looked the real deal to me. Northampton will get postponed. Up the Guards, Regan Poole, yes.
Regan Poole.
Bolton prediction, 2-0 Bolton. If the owner declares they're not going to put any more money into the EFL, should immediately step in and put, yes, 100%. The squad's a lot worse than last season. Yes, I am doing. Can't wait for it. We live for it. But that is it. We are going to end tonight's special. We've done 12 games. We've done a Q&A. We've done Tuesday's games. And we've done a bit of the Championship extra as well. In all under 70 minutes. Jake, thank you so much for joining me, mate. It's been fun, hasn't it?
It has, mate. Yeah, it's been very good, mate. I love spending my Sunday evenings with you talking about League One. So much so, I'm not here on Wednesday night because I'm having a bloody break from you. But no, it's good, mate. It's good. Sundays are a good day because we talk a lot about League One and it gives you a lot of perspective. So I appreciate the opportunity to come on and have a chat. And I love talking to the amazing people that you have that tune in every week, the good people. So, yes, looking forward to doing it all again in a week's time.
Absolutely agree. And we're not going to show the League One table today, but I think in a week's time, I think it matters a little bit more. No, you can't laugh at that because Fleetwood have won a game. So it's not like I'm trying to get out of it. But Fleetwood are in the bottom 4, but it doesn't matter. Now with 2 points, the table doesn't matter until 15 games in, unless we're top at Leyton.
Didn't you say 10 games a few weeks ago? Oh, just 10 games. Just
15,
after 10.
15. Right. So again, a big thank you. And if you could leave a like as you are leaving and subscribe down below, that'd be massively appreciated. And a big over and out from me. Thank you so much for getting us to the Football Vlogging Awards. The link is in the description to vote as well. A big over and out. Up those cods and up the Sky Bet League One. Thank you. And good night.
Good night.
Up the winning cods.
For once.
Last time I'm saying that this season.
Patreon.com/That League One podcast.
Help a wish good out and Jake Tongue.